This podcast is a part of the Podmania Podcasting Network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your monthly audio source for all things World Wonder Ring Stardom, right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Rob Gooden, and I'm joined as ever by Chris O'Brien. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. I finally have some job interviews lined up, which is something. And I just watched a pretty good Formula One race in Mugello. Lewis Hamilton still won, but everything behind him was carnage. It was amazing. And then we have so many wrestling tournaments. It was going to be around the middle of this month. We'd have a wee break from Stardom. As awful as that sounds, but it was going to be a lot of Stardom. A wee break. I can watch the G1. I can watch the N1 Victory because Noah totally isn't copying New Japan, and I could watch a bit of a Champions Carnival. Maybe I'm not going to say a certain name because apparently there's a fucking alarm for it now.
What's that? Sorry, what's that?
I'm not Jake Lee.
Say his name, Chris. Say his name, Chris.
I can't believe you're co-opting such an important tagline for your own memeing ways. I'm not saying his name.
Say his name.
I'm not saying his.
Say his name.
Suji Ishikawa. No.
We all know that you are massively in love with Kento Miyahara. Just say his name, Chris. Just say it.
He isn't in love with that beautiful man.
Which beautiful man?
Oh my god. Kento Miyahara. You're such a cunt.
Sorry, do carry on. I've had my fun now.
Okay, so, but like now, instead of having the 5-star sort of end right as these, we're getting into the bulk of the G1 of the Champions Carnival and the N1. We're gonna have them side by side, which is a lot, especially if you like me and I closely follow New Japan and Stardom, and then I remotely follow All Japan and Noah, and it's a lot. I just completely given up on anything else. But also, do I really want to watch the I'm struggling whether or not I'm going to watch the Champions Carnival now or I'm going to put it off, because that's by far the least interesting of the tournaments, as awful as that sounds. But yeah, it's just the least interesting, especially since I have to do this for a podcast that I don't get paid for. So
okay, fair enough. I mean, I can start putting together a pay package for you, but then again, you are going for job interviews now. I mean, it's good.
It would probably mess with my job seekers if you did so.
I imagine so, yeah. And plus, putting on a job into a job form. What is your previous employment? A Joshi podcast. Having to explain to those people what Joshi means. And listen, guys, you don't understand. Utami is amazing. No, Jungle might be leaving Tokyo Cyber Squad. I don't think you understand that Tokyo Cyber Squad is falling apart. What do you mean next?
Don't bring that up, Robert. I'm very emotional about that.
Well, we'll get into that in a moment. Yeah, as you said, it is well, at the moment, this 5-star, at the rate it's going, will still be going in 2021. So,
I made that joke. I'm the one who made that joke. Stop stealing jokes I'm making in the group chat.
I'm sure you didn't say that.
I did.
I think I've edited it just enough. I've done the university thing where I've edited it just enough to avoid any sort of plagiarism.
Yeah.
So, anyway, obviously, the 5-star is currently continuing, thank goodness. The two shows from the 5th and the 6th, day 3 and day 4, are what we're going to be looking at today. I completely understand that there are two shows from Fukuoka from the 12th, and there was a show today as we record on the 13th, but as Stardom is Stardom, they haven't uploaded all the matches yet. As we record, they've only uploaded 3 of the matches from the Fukuoka Day show. So once they're all up, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, will be for next week. They have put out a tweet to say they will all be up by Friday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to review those next week. So it's just the 5th and the 6th today that we're going to be looking at. But there was lots and lots and lots to come out of these 2 days, so don't worry. Before we start that, though, Chris, I just want to go through a few news items, because it's been a long time since we've spoken about the wild world of Stardom. So the first thing is that, obviously, the 2 dates at Yokohama Budokan on August the 22nd and August the 23rd were cancelled. They will now be combined on October the 3rd, again, at Yokohama Budokan, just one night. And at the moment, the 3 matches that are announced are Mayu versus Syuri, for the World of Stardom Championship, which of course was already on one of the nights, as was the Wonder of Stardom Championship between Julia and Tam, and then the High Speed Championship will be contested between the champion Azumi and Starlight Kid. Something I did want to run by you, Chris, and I forgot to mention, actually, obviously, with the G1 announcements that Ospreay, Kenta, Switchblade, Juice are all back in Japan and are able to compete in the G1, I imagine sooner rather than later it does mean we're going to see B. Priestley back in Stardom.
And Jamie Hayter.
And Jamie Hayter, yeah, of course, which, thank God, because I have got some things to say about Oedo Tai on this podcast. Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah. Like, it speaks volumes to how thin Oedo Tai is right now, but they just gave Saki Kashima a random singles match against Momo.
Well, there is a reason for that, and we'll get into that when we get onto the actual night. But yeah, those 3 matches seem sound. I'm very, very, very excited for Mayu versus Syuri. Julia and Tam is one of the hottest feuds in Stardom at the moment, and Azumi, for me, can't put a foot wrong at the moment, as Starlight is probably one of my most improved wrestlers of 2019-2020. So all 3 of those matches have banger potential.
Yeah, it's striking me a lot like just a Korakuen show, but to be fair, Stardom Korakuen shows are fairly untouchable. So,
yeah, absolutely. Something else I just wanted to run by you, Chris, because obviously, again, it's been a long time since I've spoken to you about Stardom and the wider world of Joshi. I just wanted to have a word with you about this Assemble sort of thing that they've got going on. So, just reading the release, Akira Kahuto... let's try that again, shall we? It's been a long week. Akira Hokuto announced the establishment of the Joshi Puroresu Association Assemble. It's going to launch at the first show on October 1st. In the show, Pure J, Oz Academy, Sendai Girls, Marvelous, Seedling, and Freelancers each will have a match. The order of all matches will be determined by lottery immediately after the start of the show. Ice Ribbon, Wave, and Stardom are not part of the first show due to conflicts behind the scenes, but they are expected to join up with Assemble at some point in the next 6 to 12 months. At the moment, Tokyo, Joshi, Pro Wrestling, GTMV, or Actores Girl Z are not involved and are not expected to be. The whole idea of it is sort of an equivalent of the All Together shows that the male promotions did almost 10 years ago. Are you excited for this, Chris? And will you be checking out that show on the 1st of October?
I'm somewhat excited, yeah. I'm always kind of want to get into like the wider Joshi world, but like several things sort of turn me off, one of which is like the time investment. Like there's already too much wrestling, but I'm already interested in to check it out. My other one is like every time I ask about it, it's like, yeah, it's like Stardom, just not as good, and I have no interest in that. I'm not surprised TJPW's not taking part because they're part of that DDT thing and they're looking to run the Tokyo Dome within the near future, aren't they? So like, I'm not surprised they wouldn't want to be landing out one of their brands. Yeah, like it can't be anything but not good. If it's like 5 matches, the shows can't be overly long. So like, I might check it out at some point. But like, I'm not overly familiar with any of these. I've heard good things from each promotion. I mostly know about Sendai Girls from their Progress stuff because Medusa Complex is in Progress. But yeah, it should be good. I'm not at all informed on other Joshi promotions, so I couldn't tell you anything about that, I'm afraid. So,
from what I read about it, it's going to be Stardom will have a match. It'll be two Stardom wrestlers. Seedling will have a match. It'll be two Seedling wrestlers. They won't be competing against each other. I assume they'll just be exhibition matches for their respective promotions.
Well, like, if you have them competing against each other at that point, then just the most powerful promotion goes against it. And when at that point, you're essentially going to ask for one of the promotions to die. It's what happens every time New Japan partners up with someone, like partnering up with UWF and UWFI. They died. Partnering up with Noah, they almost died. Partnering up with Ring of Honor, need I say more. TNA.
Poor Ring of Honor.
But yeah, so like it's probably the best way to do it. These sort of supercards are always going to have some sort of allure, and you know what a lot of Stardom fans are like? They're going to check out anything involving any of the Stardom wrestlers. So they're going to tune in just to have a look. It could be a good platform to possibly have Mayu versus Ihara again, which I'm always here for.
You're a big advocate of that match, aren't you? Big advocate.
Yeah, like almost enough to check out Marvelous. Not quite enough, but almost enough.
I've seen good things about Seedling on Twitter, and I've seen good things about Wave on Twitter. So, you know,
I've heard good things about with Seedling. That's where what's her name? Arita Nakajima's been having her run, which is meant to be really good, especially that match with Asuka from DDT. But I couldn't tell you much more about that. But it's meant to be really good. I just haven't checked it out yet.
I might check it out. I think once Ice Ribbon, Stardom, and people like that are a part of this, it could be something amazing, and it could be something that runs, you know, a Tokyo Dome potentially. You know, if enough people are invested, and you know, if the companies all play ball and are all willing to, you know, put something into it. You know, even if we do have interpromotional matches, I mean, like you say, Mayu versus Ihara was one of the best matches of the year in Stardom. So,
it's my favourite Stardom match of the year.
Yeah.
I think with running Tokyo Dome, that might be a bit ambitious, maybe with social distancing possibly, but I think Sumo Hall should be like the highest they should aim right now, and then assess where they are when we run somewhere there.
Let me just clarify, when I say Tokyo Dome, I mean eventually. I don't mean in the near future.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, because we have to remember in terms of numbers, running Korakuen Hall somewhere big for like Tokyo Joshi, which I think is the second biggest one, just for DDT affiliation, and like Stardom has only started doing really well at Korakuen recently. So
fair enough. Shall we get into some Stardom then, Chris? We've got 2 full nights to talk about.
Yes, please. We're skipping the tag matches, I assume. I hope so, because otherwise I haven't done my job.
Let's start then with the 5th of the 9th. So day 3 from Shinkiba First Ring in front of 140 fans. Yep, just the results of those opening tag matches and the opening singles matches, non-tournament matches. The first match saw Maika defeat Saki Kashima and Rina at 3 minutes and 47 seconds with the Sazanka. Really good to see Saki back in the ring again, thank goodness. And then match 2 was Utami Hayashishita and Hina defeating Saya Ida and Hanan at 6 minutes and 7 seconds with an air raid crash. Again, really good to see Hanan's return from injury. It's a good thing to see in these troubled times. First tournament match then was from Red Star Block, and it saw Tam Nakano defeat Death Yamasan at 4 minutes and 12 seconds with the Tiger Suplex. Chris, talk to me.
For a 4 minute match, this managed to somehow be a match of 2 halves. Like, the first half was just, it dragged. I keep getting told that Def Yamasan is really good outside of the Def Yamasan gimmick, but unfortunately the Def Yamasan gimmick itself in a tournament setting is getting tired already, and it's only the third match, and both matches were like a month apart. But like at the end it started getting cute, like getting out of the Tiger Suplex with the pose and then like quick roll-ups. That was quite cool. But like beyond that, yeah, it's just a Def Yamasan match, really. Like you couldn't do much with it.
I thought Tam did very well with Death's bullshit. Like you say, the Death Yama-san gimmick is quite limiting for an in-ring performer. But I thought Tam did really well to sort of accent that bullshit, like, you know, Death going around doing the death sign, and you just saw Tam pop into shot doing the death sign as well. You always have that feeling that Death will be the upset, will ruin someone's tournament. And with those flash pins that you were talking about before, it was genuinely believable, and that's where some of the other matches it hurt. Like, for example, Saya Iida later on the next night, it was never really believable that she was going to upset someone, whereas Death Yama-san, for whatever reason, you just believe that she is going to upset someone with those roll-ups. So, you know, eventually Tam does win, but towards the end, it was turning dangerously close into an alright match. I mean, I gave it 4. There was nothing inherently bad about this match. There was nothing offensive about this match. There was a back body drop, which looked a bit snug. But aside from that, it was fine. Worryingly, it's probably Death Yama-san's best match of the tournament so far. I mean, admittedly, it is only a second match of the tournament, I believe. But it was fine. Tam Nakano is just great. I love Tam, from everything from the little nuances to just her looking just with complete confusion at Death Yama-san. I thought she was great in this match.
Yeah, Tam was great. That's really the best you can hope for. If you're keeping averages like I am, in red blocks, your placement is probably going to be based on what you can do with the Death Yama-san gimmick and the 4 minutes that normally afford you. There's not a ton to say, really.
No, like I say, I gave it 4 stars because there was nothing bad about it, and it certainly wasn't as bad as that Death Yama-san versus Saki match.
4 out of 10. Well, I will say this story of the flash pins was done a lot better in the preceding 2 matches. Yes.
Well, let's move on. Match 4, again, Red Star Block, saw the surprise leader, should I say, of Red Block defeating Starlight Kid. Let's try that again. Himeka, the surprise leader. Honestly, guys, it's been such a long week. It took me 2 attempts to get the start of this fucking podcast going. It's just been a nightmare. It really has. I'll try that again. So, Himeka, the surprise leader of Red Block, defeated Starlight Kid at 8 minutes and 32 seconds with the torture rack. It was your standard big person, little person matchup, Chris.
Yeah, Starlight played it really smart, not trying to pick up Himeka till she was weakened. A lot of momentum work, which Himeka would either break up with either a knee, which, like, it's a pretty good big person knee, I'm not going to lie, like, just sticking up, hoofing it right into Starlight's face, or a lariat, and Starlight would be hitting her big moves, trying to bomb Himeka, but that's never going to work. Himeka's Boston Crab and Torture Rack has never looked so devastating, just because of Starlight Kid's 4'11", like, she's tiny, so like everything looks like it hurts more. So like she can bend Starlight further back, which my god, I thought Starlight was gonna fucking snap her spinal cord or something. Disgusting stuff. But like the match itself was basic apart from the Starlight stuff, but is sort of this basic match done to a fairly high level, so I have no real complaints about it. The quick roll-ups made it infinitely watchable. And then like Himeka cutting off Starlight, it never felt out of place. It didn't feel like she wasn't selling. She would just cut her off because I'm big person, rah.
Stardom have done a fantastic job thus far of building Himeka. Like, she feels like a genuine threat, and she does feel like someone who can go the distance in the 5-star. I don't think she will, but pardon me, I think she looks like that sort of person at the moment. She's the biggest thing coming out of Donna Del Mondo at the moment. Like, yeah. I see her as a bigger star at the moment than Julia, though I will say I was a big fan of her match against Saya later on in the night, but I just feel there's something about Himeka. She's so imposing, and she has this aura. And I know you're not a massive fan of the facial expressions. You think she does them too much. But I thought here, and especially in the next night, I thought the cocky arrogance in her face as she was bending Starlight Kid. And you hit the nail on the head there by saying that they've never looked so devastated. She was literally sitting on Starlight's shoulders, stopping her, using her arm to get to the ropes. And it just felt so organic. It was great. And Starlight, literally, there was points where you did fear for Starlight's spine, like you say. Her strikes felt really, really, really impactful. That knee strike that basically led to the finish was brilliant. And I thought Starlight sold wonderfully. Starlight improves with every single fucking match I see her in. You know, her bumping, her aggression, you know, she doesn't try and... Again, like, people will try and lift Himika, and obviously it looks, you know, it's daft. Why would you try it? She's the jumbo princess. She's bigger than anyone. That's her gimmick. So, you know, Starlight wore her down. It was a good match. It was a good big person, little person match. I was a little bit more skeptical as to whether Starlight Kid was going to beat Himika. I never really felt it. The flash pins were done very smoothly. They were excellent, but I always felt like Himika was going to win.
I think with the flash pins, Saki Kashima beating Julia's streak with a flash pin sort of convinced me that anyone can get caught with a flash pin, and also I've watched enough Toriano G1 matches to know that anyone can fall to a flash pin.
The master of the flash pin.
I still haven't forgiven him for G127. Fucking hell.
G127, he was top of the block in G129, having beaten Naito and Switchblade in the first two fucking matches. It was ridiculous.
I love that. That's the shit I love.
Let's move on then. So we move on to...
We didn't rate it.
Oh, I apologise. No, we didn't. What did you give that, Chris?
7. Loved it.
Wow.
Well, let's say loved it. I really liked it.
Okay, I gave it 6, but I'm willing to go 7. Yeah, sure. You're in a very positive mood.
I will say Starlight. You said Starlight improves with every match, and yeah, but also like in terms of like pure ratings, I'm looking through my ratings now, and Himika has properly improved every match. It was like 6 against Tam, 6 against Julia, and then 7 against Starlight. So doing great, and Starlight can't carry her. So
no, and that's the thing. Like, she had a good match against Tam, but it was a relatively short match from what I remember.
And it was simple.
She beat Julia, again, relatively short. And for me, even though it was an alright match, I thought there was a couple of moments where she was found out a little bit. Didn't have that feeling here.
Working with Julia doesn't help because Julia is normally the powerhouse. So Julia having to work from underneath just isn't something she's used to.
No, I understand that. I get that. And she didn't have to do that here either. So, all right, okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. Match 5 then. Blue Stars. Jungle
finally won.
Jungle Kiona defeated Azumi at 9 minutes and 41 seconds with the diving body splash. Yeah, Jungle finally wins a match, Chris.
I'm so happy. This match was great though. This match was, I think Azumi getting punched out the air or kicked out the air is becoming my new favorite subgenre of wrestling because she does it so well.
Oh yeah, you say well. Here it seemed a lot smoother. I feel like Momo literally did kick her into unconsciousness. I feel like she was unconscious for a small time.
Yeah, but here it was sort of the same story as for Himika and Tam match of the smaller underdog trying to overcome the bigger name within Stardom. Azumi doing that really well. Like just coming out like a fucking bullet. Like I was like, I keep forgetting that Azumi's basically Sonic the Hedgehog. So like jumping all over the place. Yeah, just also Azumi did something in this match which is like food for my wrestling soul, which Jungle Kiona, as sort of shown in her Mayo match as well, leaves her arms exposed quite often, which for a girl whose movesets is all lariats and all power bombs is very dangerous, because every time it happened, Azumi would catch her in an armbar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way Azumi is getting people into these armbars, like the one against Momo was spectacular. There was one against Utami on the following night. They're so unique, and they feel organic. They don't feel contrived. And you're absolutely right. You know, she did expose that area of Jungle's offense, which I thought was great.
Yeah, that's some Jay White shit right there. And my favorite one was catching her off the splash.
Amazing.
It's just great. Yeah, but then Jungle was like, okay, I'm just going to start bombing you into the ground now. So Azumi jumps off, gets knocked out of the air, and then gets spun. Big splash for the win. It was short, but it's really well executed. It's essentially a case of Azumi at this point, she knows how to beat these opponents, but she's not quite at the point where she can. You do see a lot in MMA where someone has sort of unlocked what it would take to beat this person, but they're not quite trained enough, not quite talented enough yet to beat this opponent. So like, it's putting Azumi over strong despite the fact she only has 2 points, which I love. I love shit like that where you can get someone over without winning. AEW does it a lot because otherwise Cody would have to take a pin in. Yeah, yeah, great stuff. I gave this an 8. I love this match.
I gave it an 8 too. It was, like you say, a simple story. Power versus speed, ring experience versus youthful exuberance. It felt here like Jungle was simply waiting Azumi out because she felt like Azumi was going to make that one mistake. Once she hadn't put Jungle away with that initial burst of energy, Azumi was looking for something then, looking for a way to utilise the armbar. You're looking for ways to get into positions where she can win. You know, the flash pins weren't working, and Jungle was getting out of or powering out of the arm breakers. She tried one thing too many, got knocked out of the air, and that was Jungle's, opening to then finish the match off. And it was simple. It was really, really good. Azumi has been absolutely phenomenal throughout this tournament. Every match she's had has been one of the matches of the night. She
just gets it. And it's... I hate that she's so... I don't like young, talented people, Rob. I just hate them. I like old, talented people because they're jaded enough to know to not show off how talented they are. But young, talented people just wear it on their sleeves, and I hate it.
I did enjoy once Jungle was having her arm raised, the sheer relief on her face, because in the previous podcast episode we spoke about Jungle's desperation to win a match and how she lost her 2 opening matches. She was in complete disarray. She was heading into this match with Oedo Tai, with the future of Tokyo Cyber Squad depending on the result. And you felt like it was all becoming a little bit too much for Jungle. And just that moment of having her arm raised and just the sheer relief evident in her face, it was a little story beat. Might have been nothing, but it added to that story just that, oh, thank Christ.
It was in this match too, though, like when she was spinning Azumi around in the sleeper swing, you could see the look on her face going, fuck, I need to end this.
Oh yeah, there was no frills. There was no frills at all.
Like in Age of Ultron, when Hulk's facing off against Iron Man, the Hulk boss is like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Yes. Oh, come on. Quick, up to the top rope. Yeah, I felt like that was the case as well. Yeah, absolutely. I gave it 8 as well. Like I said, Azumi is just phenomenal, and at the moment, from an in-ring standpoint, she can't put a foot wrong. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Match 6, and I feel we're going to differ on this match, so it'll be interesting to hear what you thought about this. Red Star with Julia defeating Saya Kamitani at 11 minutes and 25 seconds with the glorious driver. Do you want to go first, Chris? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. There's some cool spot, especially the shooting star into a triangle. I thought that was great.
Absolutely beautiful, seamless as well. Like, it's so easy to get shit like that wrong, and it felt amazing. It just looked amazing.
Julia was laying little chaps like that throughout the whole match, and that was enjoyable. But for the most part, it was Julia against a rookie, so like there's only so high that can go. So I think I would like this match more if that triangle was the finish.
That would have been a great way to end it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought here...
Or like, even... sorry.
No, please carry on.
Like, I think from that position you could have like dragged her down into like a ground stealth viper. Like, it would be a wee bit of a different transition, and that would have been like a great finish, and this match would rate a lot higher for me. But like, for me, like, that's the only thing I really felt like taking notes for. Apart from, was particularly exuberant, let's say, glorious driver. Like, she put some fucking stank on that one.
Well, that sort of added into what I felt about this match. Like, whereas Himeka, to start off with against Starlight Kid, really dismissive of her. Like, she's a small person, I am going to beat her. And, you know, where we all knew Himeka was going to win, but there was a moment where Starlight, you know, the flash pin, something like that. Julia, you know, the clapping when Saya finally showed a little bit of resilience and things like that. Just, you know, basically just being this absolute twat. It was brilliant, and there was a feeling that Julia never had this match out of control. She knew what she was doing, and she was, you said, like a viper, absolutely. She ended this match where she saw fit. Like, you felt like she could end this whenever, and that was why it was like, right, I'm done now. Glorious driver, done. And that's what it should be. Julia seems to be growing into this character of, I'm better than you. Deal with it. Trying to push her as a babyface was just stupid, and trying to push her as a tweener is stupid. Just make her this arrogant, cocky heel who basically no one's on my level. I mean, for God's sake, we saw it in the main event of night one have that exact same feeling about Mayu, who is the red belt champion. She doesn't see Saya Kamitani as a fucking challenge. She literally just watched Saya tire herself out, trying different things, then thought, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. Glorious driver. That's what it should be. Don't try and make her more than that.
I think from a booking perspective, both nights fulfilled me quite well. And you're right, this character for Julia does work quite well. I don't think that makes this a great match necessarily, because at the end of the day, she's facing a rookie. And Saya, as good as the match she had in that second in night 4, it's still green. And you can see it throughout a lot of her matches, especially that fucking tag match from the other month, where she just didn't refuse to sell on lamb. But yeah, here it was fine. Julia as a heel works grand. I think that's sort of what turned me off of Julia a lot, because I was willing to give her a chance, like, because I really liked the Hannah match. But then when she started pushing her as a face in the 5-star, that's sort of what broke it.
Do you mean the Cinderella?
Cinderella, yeah, sorry. When we were trying to push her as a face there and gave her such the obvious face path, and I was like, this is Roman Reigns shit. Like, this, I'm fine with. It is literally a Roman Reigns situation, because now that she's like this stoic badass, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of on board. But Julia's been doing grand. I still think she needs someone special, and I still think her track record reflects that. Like, when she was against Himeka on night 2, that match fell off a bit flat for me, whereas her match with Mayu didn't, her match with Tam didn't, etc. So even a match with Konami on night 4 rather, here didn't fall flat. So I do still think Julia needs to be in there with someone special.
I agree with you. To have that blow away match, she does need someone who can work with her, because she is good in ring, but she does need someone. I do completely agree. However, I still gave this 7. Because of the character work. I gave it a 6. I didn't focus too much on Saya in this match, which is completely different to how I looked at night 4. But I just looked at how Julia was. You could see a story developing. I mean, effectively, Saya Kamitani made her in-ring debut, August 2019? So she is still green. But the fact that she is still having matches, they aren't dying a death. You know, she is holding her own. Yeah, she does need to sell more, and that is why I praise her the fuck up in this next match that she's got coming up. I still really enjoyed this. I enjoyed Dickhead Julia. I think that's where we should be with her. So yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake. Match 7.
Right, I'll talk first on this one, because I think I like this more than you did. So it's Natsuko Tora versus Momo. And I like this because the Oedo Tai bullshit finally paid off. Saki managed to entice the referee or something. Oh, something I forgot to mention actually regarding the referee. In the Starlight Kid Himika match, the ref checking Starlight Kid's mask for a weapon. I'm like, what's she gonna hide in there? Like halfway through the match, she's gonna pull out a fucking dagger. I kind of want that to happen now, actually.
just to get out brass knucks from the eye hole.
Yeah, like when she faces, she should have done that when she faced Tama the next night. It's like, you used to do death matches, did you? How about this? But no, this match was like, this is fine. It was like Tora versus Momo for Tora managing to ambush Momo and like lead her around. That was all grand. That was all standard Oedo Tai bullshit. And then Saki managed to distract the ref for what felt like 10 years. And we managed to get what I loved. Right, so Natsuko Tora hung Momo Watanabe, call back to Kagetsu, I guess. But then throws Momo back in, gets a pin. And the graphic says pinfall via hanging by the ropes. And I'm like, surely at the point where you've put it in the graphics, you can overturn this decision. From a kayfabe perspective.
If the referee is saying victory via chain hanging, how is that not a DQ?
That's the official ruling. So, like, at that point, just disqualify.
I never thought. Oh, just fuck Oedo Tai, man. Oh, mate, this is. Right, this went 9 minutes and 9 seconds, and this is my issue with it. Everything Tora does is just paint by numbers. Everything she does is the same thing. You can literally predict how she's going to attack before the bell. She's going to hit the chain clothesline. She's going to try and hang someone. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be an impactful spot. I've seen it 3 fucking times in 4 matches. And this was shit as well. This chain hanging was fucking wank.
She did it in her only match, singles match before this against Konami as well.
Exactly.
Before the 5-star.
That should be an impactful spot. Whenever Kagetsu did it with Mayu, it was impactful. It was done off a fucking balcony. Seeing it every single week is just, every single match she does just completely takes away from that, and just the chair bullshit. I'm just not into it. And then Saki, at what point do you get ejected? Because, like, she wasn't just enticing him, she got him in a fucking headlock. She literally, she got him in the corner by his head whilst this was all happening, whilst Tora tried to throw Momo over the top with this chain that wasn't working because Momo was trying desperately to try and make it look like she was being hung. Just absolute fucking bollocks.
I think Momo's a bit short to do this spot.
Yeah, that's the problem with this. Just, it's the same thing, Chris. It happens every single match, and there's no heat from it. There's no reaction to it. It just doesn't seem to lead anywhere. And it's nonsense. Like, at least with Suzuki-gun, which happens every time with Suzuki-gun as well. But you have this idea that they're badasses. And, you know, it's because, I suppose, Suzuki doesn't just do the same thing over and over again. He does certain things over and over again, but he doesn't have the same fucking wrestling match over and over again.
But also, like, Suzuki does take time off. I mean, like, you look about 2017 rather, G1, where he didn't really do anything spectacular. Like, so Suzuki does sort of check out now and again. But with Tora, like, the only time I felt any sort of urgency from Tora was in the Utami match, which I legitimately enjoyed the Utami match, but otherwise it's been like, they're not even bad matches per se, they're just average, but bang average.
They're boring. You have got someone being hung with a chain, like legitimately, we're watching someone being garroted by a chain, and I'm bored. That shouldn't be the thing.
Is it?
Like,
is this?
Go on.
Is this what deathmatch fans feel like? Is this what deathmatch fans feel like?
I'm just completely. I don't care. That's the thing. I don't care. I don't want to see Oedo Tai on my screen. They're bored, they're tired, their entire shtick is the same thing, week in, week out. And this match, you could literally cut and paste this match to the one she has with Maika the following night. It's the same match. Chain hanging, which Maika manages to get out of, thank God, but then it's the same bullshit. I bet you any money the next match is going to end with Tora some manner of chain bollocks. And it's just like, for fuck's sake, you are a good wrestler.
Despite... Okay, so here's the thing. I heard Tora versus Maika, and I'm like, I don't remember watching Tora versus Maika. So I have a look at my notes, and it did happen. but literally, I watched. What is it? 9:30. I watched this around. I watched night 2 around 4 or 5 o'clock. So in the 4 or 5 hours, just since I forgot the match happened.
It's the same match. Doesn't it? It's the same fucking match. Like, Maika gets attacked by Tora before the bell. Maika gets hung by Tora. Maika gets taken out with the chain clothesline by Tora. Saki distracts the ref. Oh my god, it's cut and paste and it's fucking dull. I don't care. I don't care about Oedo Tai. This was bollocks. It really pissed me off that it was actually quite a decent match before then. And that's the thing. Tora is good in ring. Like, everything before this was fine, and then it just descended into the same cut, dried, boring stuff. It's like, oh, yeah. And it's the same with the Maika match later on. Like, Maika does really, really well with Tora in the ring, and then it just descends into bollocks. Like, how was hitting Utami with a chair a DQ on night 2, but literally trying to garrote someone is perfectly fine? And I'm sorry, the referee should know. Like, I know I should suspend my disbelief for God's sake, but if you've got someone who has got you in a headlock for, again, like Chris said, about 15 years, you've got to know that something is going on. For God's sake, she's coming down to the ring with a chain. She's wearing the chain. Do you think that's decoration? What do you think she's going to be doing with it? She hit her with a chair on the outside again, and the referee is looking right at it, yet that was a DQ in the Utami match. I don't understand. Either be consistent or don't. But if you're not going to be consistent, don't expect me to give a shit about the match.
Yeah.
I gave it 3 stars, and I only gave it 3 because the match up to that point was okay.
I gave it 5. I literally have no strong feelings towards this match. So
let's give it 4.
I'm not mad.
Let's give it 4. It's halfway. Sorry, guys. I know that me ranting about Oedo Tai is the same on every single fucking podcast, but it's just, I wouldn't hate them so much if, like, some stuff was different. Like, you know, every match wasn't the same, but it's just not. Thankfully, the main event of night 3 was the Red Star block, with Konami defeating Mayu Iwatani at 13 minutes and 39 seconds with the triangle arm lock, and this was fucking brilliant, Chris.
This was class. Konami shooting for submissions is just food for the soul, isn't it? Like, it's weird, because when she shoots for submissions, you sort of have the sense that it's like, she properly knows how to, like, shoot for submissions. Like, this might be me completely talking out my ass, but, like, it feels like that. May desperately running for the ropes was great. Like, she's, like, between submission attempts, she's desperately trying to bomb Konami into the ground because she knows if a triangle lance is thrown on her one more time, she's fucked. And, like, I think having the triangle lancer at the start of the match was a thing of beauty. Like, just in terms of the pacing for this match, it made Konami dangerous for the whole match because May knows how much that thing's hurt, and she knows if it's in for long enough, she's going to tap.
I love this match. I've just put new silver-haired Konami has no time for Mayu's bollocks. This is the Mayu who came out with no belt, no robe, and no mask, but it would not surprise me if she had just forgotten them or left them in the previous venue, because that seems to be the Mayu we're going for at the moment, just derpy Mayu.
She remembered her tail.
She did remember her tail this time, yeah. Which was the reason she lost to Julia. But yeah, Konami was fucking vicious in this match. It was her turn to do what so many others, including Mayu, have failed to do and break Mayu's neck. Just relentless. I've never ever seen a dragon screw neck whip before from inside the from through the ropes. That was incredible. And then literally just grabbing her head with the knees and smashing her repeatedly into the canvas.
Yeah, that's some Daniel Bryan shit right there.
Yeah, there was a point in Konami's match here and Konami's match against Julia the next night where she is literally channeling her inner Zack Sabre Jr. You know, these ways she's manipulating the body into getting into these arm breakers, the guillotine, and all of this. Like, Mayu is having to manipulate her own body into the most unnatural shapes to get to the ropes. It's amazing, and at no point does Konami smile. At no point does Konami let up. She is absolutely relentless. And when she finally does make Mayu tap out, it looks legitimately painful. At the moment, she is a better heel than Tora. And I don't think we're supposed to think Konami is a heel. But she wrestles better as a heel than Tora does at the moment. Because you just feel like Konami is out to break your arm. Yeah.
And the thing is, Konami matches are so, like, everyone has a match formula there, the ones leading. We kind of saw it in the match against Julia as well, where, like, Konami sort of has the same kind of thing. But, like, she does fuck with her cadence, whereas Tora doesn't. I think that's the problem with Tora. Like, and it also always ends the same way, and somehow it started ending in wins. I'm not sure how that went. We'll rant again about Tora, I'm sure, on day 4 as well. But yeah, no, this was fucking great. Top 5 matches of the tournament so far by a mile. Yeah. Fucking great stuff.
It's a real rub for Konami. Like, a real rub for Konami. I mean, you know, the 2 nights together, like, massive rub. Massive rub. And presumably we are going to see now a title defense from Mayu against Konami. And if it's anything like this, I am all for that.
Yeah. I hope Konami keeps going, because again, our problem with her pre-5-star was she wasn't showing much personality. She's showing a ton of personality right now. I think part of that was like she was next. She was constantly, literally over time, next to Jungle and Hannah, who are like the 2 biggest personalities in Stardom, other than maybe Mayu and Tam. Whereas now she's sort of away from, like she's sort of divorced from Jungle right now because they're in different blocks, and it's just working for her. She's just infinitely compelling.
Well, that sort of plays into this next. She takes the microphone and she sort of immediately, Jungle just completely takes the limelight away from Konami by then calling out Oedo Tai, and Konami's just like, yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, sure. So we have the aforementioned match that was supposed to be at Yokohama, where Oedo Tai versus Tokyo Cyber Squad. If Oedo Tai win, then Tokyo Cyber Squad have got to disband. Seemed a bit harsh of Jungle to do it after Konami's just had the biggest victory of her 5-star so far, but there we are. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that Oedo Tai are winning that, surely.
Yeah, I can't think of any other way that's going to go. Like, someone in TCS is turning, and the fact is, I don't quite know who it's going to be, because you look on one hand, and it seems obvious because Jungle's being a bit of a dick and is in sort of a downward spiral right now, and we sort of saw it with Saki, where she used Oedo Tai to try and get herself out of a downward spiral and got her a title shot. But also, as we just said, Konami is acting like a heel within her matches. Whereas Jungle isn't. Jungle's still acting like a face.
I mean,
so I generally don't know what's going to happen. So, which is good, I guess.
You can make the argument for either person. You can make the argument that it's going to be Konami because of the way she's wrestling and the way, you know, you look at when she wins matches, she's storming off from the ring, she's not even having her hand raised, or she's having it raised, she's pulling it away. But then you can also argue that it's going to be Jungle because it's her desperation to win, to be recognised, to avenge that loss to Mayu and Nagoya. Is that going to take over, and is she going to win at any cost? You know, is it going to be death? I mean, she's a zombie. So, I mean...
she has no allegiance. She just wants brains.
Exactly. It's a very, very interesting... I mean, it would be a very strange way to go about just the same Tokyo Cyber Squad just staying around. It would be very, very strange for them to do this. That's why I think it's going to happen. I think Konami is better turning because I think she wrestles better as a heel. I think her style suits more as a heel. And I think, for me at least, she is the person I look forward to most at the moment, aside from Azumi. Those two at the moment are my wrestlers of the tournament. Just because, like I said, she fucks so much with her cadence that no two matches are the same. Like, her match here against Mayu is completely different to a match against Julia. For me, anyway.
Yeah, when in reality, but she's going for the same thing. She's still shooting to try and lock in the triangle answer, but like she's doing it differently because they're different types of fighters.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what are you giving this match?
I gave it a high 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
Okay, that's all right then. I wasn't sure whether it was almost a 9, but not quite. But yeah, overall, I thought Night 3 was decent, had some good matches, no surprises, really, aside from, obviously, Konami defeating Mayu. There was no real surprises. There was only really been that one shock with Micah defeating Momo on Night 1. I'm sure we're going to see
Himika defeating Julia.
Of course, I forgot about that. The way they booked that, weirdly, and all of the stuff leading to it, like Himika taking the piss out of Julia for having lost to Saki, I didn't really see that as a shock. I sort of saw that as not a foregone conclusion. That'd be blowing my own trumpet.
Well, it's a natural booking step, but like it's still like we watch New Japan to know that natural booking steps aren't always taken.
That is true. Let's move on then. Let's move on to Night 4, September the 6th, 2020, from Sendai, in front of 156 people. We open with a tag match. Mayu and Hanan defeating Hina and Rina at 5 minutes and 35 with the modified Dragon Sleeper. So match 2 was our first 5-star match. Blue Star action saw Jungle Kiona defeat Saya Ida at 6 minutes 35 seconds with the diving body splash. This was what I was talking about earlier, Chris, where I never believed, even though they did all the bit about, the last time these two met, Jungle won, I never once thought Saya Ida was winning this.
No, to be fair, it's like when Narita was in Super Juniors last year. Of course, Saya's not going to pick up a win against anyone major. But, yeah, I guess in terms of booking, you couldn't have had Jungle's first win be against Saya Ida. That's not really a good conclusion to an arc. But like, I enjoyed this match more than I really had any right to enjoy it. Like, a lot of it was Jungle and her face. Like when Saya sort of got Jungle over for a back body drop, and you could see Jungle's face like, no. I enjoy Saida's machine gun chops. They're not quite on the level of a Kabashi, but they're slightly better than a Kojima. So
Kojima now, let's say.
Kojima, oh yeah, we've seen Kojima Tenzan we did, and the machine gun chops there were good. But yeah, and for the experience she had, that's fine. The Hope spots made this better than normal. It was literally like a Young Lion match because there was no big spots. Jungle didn't even use her proper finisher. So,
well, that's the thing, and that was something that we talked about in the last episode about how people are using those secondary finishes to finish, and we talked about it last time about how it's helping the overall match quality because you're never quite sure what is going to finish a match. Yeah, completely agree. I think it might be the best pre-match promo ever, just Jungle beating her chest like a gorilla, then walking off. Might be the best pre-match promo ever.
You clearly haven't seen the old Chris Wolf pre-match promos. It's like, hello, I like delicious meat. Are you delicious meat?
Okay, fair enough.
This is a post-match one, I think. It's like, I'll eat bitches all day. So...
there's a moment where Jungle takes Saida's fucking head off with a lariat. It was the stiffest fucking lariat I've ever... I'm not joking. Saida didn't do a 360. She did a 540. It was ridiculous. She went fucking flying. It was amazing.
Even Jack Evans looks at that and thought, you know what, a bit much.
Genuinely, I've never wanted to do this more than just go, whee, as she flipped over.
This remember that old meme where like that EDM track started playing when someone went launching?
Yes. Yeah, a couple of good pin reversals from Saya. Saya was good here. There's nothing against Saya's in-ring quality, but Jungle was always winning this. I gave it 5 stars.
I gave it 6. I did enjoy it a lot more, especially with the lariat that briefly sent Sayarita back in time at such a velocity that she wiped out the dinosaurs before returning to the present day.
It was such a stiff lariat. Honestly, it gave me tinnitus. It was that loud.
Honestly, like I've missed making lariat jokes because we haven't done a Stan Hansen match in so long.
Do you want to do it now?
What, a Stan Hansen? I can't do it. Go on. But no, my nieces are here. I'll wake them up and there's a school
Just
night.
whisper it. Just whisper it. That was the sexiest thing you've ever done. Just. Oh my god. Oh, down boy. Anyway.
Are you talking to me or you?
A bit of both. Not gonna lie. Match 3, Red Star block. Saw Himeka versus Saya Kamitani go to a 20-minute time limit draw. I'm not going to lie, Chris. When I loaded up this match and saw that the entire thing was 26 minutes, I did think that there had been an error. Because of all the matches to go to a time limit draw, I didn't think it would be this one. And I was a little
just assumed there was a mass.
I was a little bit like, okay, is Saya able to go 20 minutes? I mean, we've seen her have very similar singles matches over and over again, but this was, hands down, both women's best singles matches in Stardom.
Yeah, this was great. Tall Saya turned into a fucking psychopath.
It's night and day. The Saya match on night 3, the Saya match on night 4. Complete night and day.
But look on her arm as she completely destroyed Himeka's arm. Like, I'm starting to think that's why she no-sold the arm in that tag match. It's because she has such little respect for arms that she even ignores the pain within her own arms because she just resents the fact that she has to have arms. Because, like, seriously, she looks like an absolute psycho, and it's so rare that the giant is the sympathetic one, but Himeka was really sympathetic here. Like, when she had her shoulder rammed into the post, and she had to run halfway into the crowd to shake it off.
I thought Himeka, like, we're going to spend a lot of time praising Saya in this match, and rightly so.
It's because Himeka made her look so good. The way she sold that arm was fucking... Like, it's so rare for someone with her level of experience to sell the arm that well. Like, we've seen people with way more experience not be able to sell the arm that well.
Himeka sold like a champ. Like 100%. And she did it without it being cartoonish.
Yeah, the bit that got me, she tried to go for the Boston Crab, but she couldn't lock it in, so she had to do the single crab.
Everything from that to the fact that she couldn't hit the torch. Like, it all felt organic as well. It didn't feel like, oh shit, I should probably sell the arm. Like, she couldn't do the torture rack. She couldn't do the running powerbomb. She got the halfway... Like, the Ishii spot with El Desperado in the first round of the New Japan Cup this year. Like, where
his
Ishii,
leg crumpled.
Exactly. Ishii got Desperado up for the powerbomb and literally didn't just drop and go, ow, his leg just crumpled. That's how well Himeka sold it. Like, you legitimately thought, shit, her arm's in bother here.
Yeah, and like it becomes like, honestly, if the arm wasn't targeted, you'd be questioning it because there's tape all over it. And one thing I did like, because it's another simple thing, but it got ignored. During the strike exchange, she was, because like the strike exchange isn't a thing to weaken your opponent. It's a piece of pride. It's like whoever falls, they may lose the match where they lost the strike exchange. That's going to play in their mind. Like it's a basis for strong style, even though this isn't strong style. But Himeka lost because she couldn't connect that last one because her arm and her shoulder just hurt too much. And like whenever she'd hit a light with that arm, she couldn't actually go for the cover because she was hitting good lariats, but it would destroy her arm. It was like, honestly, the selling reminded me of the Moxley versus MJF match from All Out earlier this month.
I thought that Saya was phenomenal here. And
but
we criticised Saya for effectively wrestling. You know, she has 5 moves. She does those moves well. She has a drop kick, the weird cartwheel thing, and doesn't sell. Here, there was no cartwheel. There was no Muta lock. She adapted the match completely for the situation, and that was something that we've been crying out for her to do, and we saw it in all its glory here. She literally went from a 5 to a 10 in one night. Everything she did, she amended all of her offense to solely target Himeka's arm. Drop kicks hit the arm, punches hit the arm, stamps on the arm. Everything she did targeted that arm, and it was just... She was a completely different character. She was literally picking up the poor ref and throwing him away because she was that intent on destroying Himeka's arm. It was wonderful.
To the point where the ref had to kick her off of Himeka. It was ridiculous. But what we'll see there is it addressed most of the issues we had. It didn't address the main issue I have, which is selling, because she didn't have to sell in this match. Although I liked how, because she has no arm-based moves, right? So like she wasn't going to end the match on her arm. She was using the arm to disarm Himeka, and then she was going for knockouts, which I like.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed that towards the end. She wasn't even doing conventional moves. She was just jumping on Himeka and trying to hold her down for the pin. Really enjoyed that.
Because you do see it in like legit fighting. Like in UFC, there was a Sean O'Malley match, and he fucked his leg halfway through. And because of that, his opponent went for the leg to keep it to keep his leg injured, but he was also going for knockouts because that's ultimately his game plan.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think everything about this match was great. If I had one negative, it maybe went 3 minutes long. I think this is one of the few matches where the old time limit of 15 minutes would have benefited these two massively.
I think look at this 20-minute time limit, and it's obviously a thing brought in because they're looking for international fans. A lot of international fans have been conditioned to think longer matches are better, so they're like, and a 15-minute time limit can be a put-off. So like in reality, no one's been wrestling inwardly different, but just sort of wrestling regular Stardom matches. And you look at the ones that went over 15, like the Julia Mayer match or the Himeka Julia match that went over 15, didn't it? And for me, like if you knocked 2 minutes off of those matches, it wouldn't have affected them much. Whereas here, the extra 5 minutes did kind of drag this down. It was a bit long with deepest, but like the story of attacking the after a while, like once you reach the 15-minute point of non-stop attacks on the arm, it's wearing a bit long on the tooth.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
I'm trying to think of an arm. I'm trying to think of an arm match from this year that doesn't involve Kenta Miyahara, so you want on the alarm. Right. So the MGF versus Moxley match that centered a lot around Moxley's arm, but also you had MGF sort of fucking with Moxley's normal cadence, like how Moxley would always go outside for a brawl, so MGF was sort of trying to bait Moxley out to the brawl, and then like MGF would always have the advantage through the arm and then be ignored. Or like even for another limb match, Keno versus Goji Izaki from Noah last month, where like the leg was always being sold, but it wasn't always being attacked because that's not Keno's thing. Keno goes for knockouts. So while Saya was doing that, she doesn't have any knockout moves other than the shooting star press. So like after that shooting star press, the match just sort of reaches crescendo. It's still great, but it went from like a 9 to an 8 because it was long in the tooth.
Agreed. Really, really good outing for both women. I think it's good to see a different side of Himeka that isn't dominant. I was surprised that Saya was on top for the majority of this match, but it was a pleasant surprise. I thought Saya...
I have a booking reason for this, which I will get to at the end.
Intriguing. But yeah, it surprised me slightly that Saya is the one that took Himeka to a draw. Obviously, someone was going to have to beat Himeka at some point or take her to a draw. Maybe a little surprised that it was Saya, but it was good. It was good rub for Saya, and
I'm gonna jump the gun with my booking thing to sort of counteract that in the case of all the other big names in her block either have or will beat Saya. So Saya now acts as the tiebreaker to keep Himika out of the final.
Intriguing. We'll talk at the end and see if your choice has changed for who you think is going to make the block final, because it has for me. And yeah, we'll see. I gave that 8, similar to you. It was very close to a 9. It went a little bit too long, and I think you're expecting Saya to she's never wrestled a singles match of that time limit, and I think she did extremely well to wrestle that match. We've never seen Himika go that long in a singles match, so both women to go that long to tell the story they did, fantastic. Just a little bit too long. Match 4 was a singles match. This was originally supposed to be Momo Watanabe versus Syuri, but unfortunately Syuri's mum passed away. So Momo received the 2 points. Obviously, thoughts are with Syuri, and hopefully her and her family are okay. So Momo Watanabe defeated Saki Kashima via disqualification at 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And Chris, I'll be honest, I didn't watch it.
I watched it, but you've missed absolutely nothing.
I can imagine what happened. Can I imagine what happened?
You can, but I'd rather just move on to the next match.
Can I guess that Momo was on top, and then for some strange reason Tora was there, and then there was a chair shot and then that ended in DQ.
Did that happen? It wasn't a remarkable match. I can't remember a fucking thing.
Let's move on.
It was something. Yeah.
Let's move on. Match 5. Red Stars again. Tam Nakano defeating Starlight Kid at 6 minutes and 58 seconds with the Tiger Suplex. Chris, what did you think?
This sort of had the opposite problem from the one before. This is a bit short. It was a no bullshit bomb fest. Both women just sort of trying to kill each other. It's weird that I'm more scared of Tam than I am of Himika, but that's just how things are. I imagine it's weird. Tam reminds me of the people you'd find on Sukiyo Street at 1 a.m. just the wee 5'2" girls just want to fight someone.
Yeah,
just kind of like that, and it scares the fuck out of me. Starlight was never going to win this, which again is sort of a thing we're going to run into with Starlight in this, but I think a lot like Yoshihashi, Starlight does her best work against other members of Stars.
Yeah, I think it helped that you had that storyline that Tam wasn't going to go soft on her, and the fact that Starlight almost had something to prove. It was a very different match to the Starlight versus Mayu, when Mayu was literally just wrestling, basically being a dickhead heel, just step up to my level or don't step up. Whereas Tam was just we're just going to kick the shit out of each other and see what happens. Like you said, it wasn't a remarkable match, and I think it was impacted somewhat by only being 6 minutes, and I think this is an issue now for the rest of the card, and I think the previous match going 20 minutes sort of fucked with the rest of the timings for the rest of the card, because this was the issue for me with the main event.
That seems to be a thing with, you think back to the, where was it? Nagoya show with Jungle versus Mei, where that was great. And I enjoyed that a lot, having just watched that in a bubble. But then when I look at it in the context of the rest of that card, it immediately following a half-hour draw.
Yeah, completely agree with you. It's exactly the same. It was a very, very strange booking decision, that was. And, the crowd were very invested in that match, and then they needed time to sort of recover, and this was unfortunately the match that sort of fell into that. There wasn't a lot to talk about. It was solid in what it was. There was one moment where Tam literally kicked the head off Starlight Kid. That was quite enjoyable. But yeah, 6 stars. Tam showed a lot more respect for Starlight than Mayu did.
Yeah, but also I don't think Mayu knows the word respect anymore.
No, true. Match 6, Blue Stars, Natsuko Tora defeated Maika at 7 minutes and 3 seconds with the Ascension in the exact same match from night 3.
Shut shall we move on? Because like I don't want to subject our audience to another 5-minute rant because we already have one per podcast. We can't start having
There's
two
going to be no
per
rant.
podcast.
No rant at all. It was just the same match. The one thing I will point out is that obviously this was, I would say, a clean victory, but it wasn't really. There was chain usage. At least this was finished with a move. It was finished with the Ascension. But I don't know if you heard this. It was silent when Tora pinned Micah. It was
well, I didn't.
nothing.
Well, I didn't hear it because it was silent.
Oh.
Yeah, because no one cares.
That's the thing. There was no booing, and I know that people aren't supposed to make noise.
But there was no clapping.
There was nothing, and I think there's certainly quite a few people who are apathetic towards Oedo Tai at the moment. But yeah, let's move on. Match 7, Red Stars Konami defeated Julia at 11 minutes and 35 seconds with the triangle armlock. Konami in 2 consecutive nights beats both the World and Wonder of Stardom champion. Good God, what a rub for Konami.
Yeah, reminds me a lot of G1 28 when Jay White beat both Okada and Tanahashi in the first 2 nights.
Yeah, definitely. I will say I still love this match. I thought this was great. It lacked a little of the intensity of their Korakuen match for me, but I felt like Julia sold for Konami brilliantly here.
Julia sold. That's what was missing here, though, was that intensity. But like that, like I never winced in this match. I winced in the other one, and yeah, I think this is another match that suffered coming in the. I think the crowd never quite recovered from the Hima Kasaya match.
Agreed. No, I don't think they did.
So, again, this match kind of suffered. A lot of thing is. Everything Konami did was fucking great, fucking crisp, fucking amazing. A lot of the stuff Julia did sort of kept this from being an 8 for me because I'm just predisposed to not liking Julia. I kind of need to accept that, and I kind of need to try and fix that within myself. But because I've done that,
deep?
Because I've done that. No, because I've done that with like New Japan wrestlers in the past. It's like, okay, so I'm predisposed to not like this kind of match. Try and look out for like what the signs are, and like for example, I'm predisposed to not overly enjoy Okada matches, right? But I can still appreciate a good Okada match. I'm trying to find out within Julia, but I think part of the problem is I want to say a vocal minority because I know not all Stardom fans and all that, but like in some Stardom groups, just for Julia fans are fucking insufferable, and I think that's a bad fan base can ruin something, and Julia has a vocal minority of annoying people. Everyone does, but I think it's the fact that I don't like Julia sort of keeps me on the outside of that. I don't know. I keep feeling like I'm being unfair to Julia, but I've rated a fair few of her matches fairly highly, especially in the Cinderella. She came out like with one of the highest match ratings in the Cinderella. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. A lot of times Julia matches just aren't clicking, and I still can't pinpoint what it is.
I think you are being harsh.
I mean, I didn't hate this match. I gave this match a 7.
So did I. And I know that you have said in previous shows that, there have been some highly rated Julia matches, but I don't think that you can hold it against Julia. And I know it's not the sole reason you don't like Julia. But I don't think you can hold it against her that there are, and again, it is a minority of Julia fans are annoying you. That shouldn't impact your enjoyment of a Julia match.
Okay, I should sort of rephrase that. Like for example, when I ask a big Okada fan, okay, what is it about Okada that works for you? And they explain it, and when I watch his matches again, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Whenever I ask for sometimes I'm a dick about it, sometimes I'm not, but I'm like, what is it about Julia? And we just say, well, she's good at this. I'm like, well, I don't think she's good at this. Here's why I don't think she's good at this. And then all I get back is you're a hater or something. And it's sort of trying to get through that noise, but after a while, that's all the noise you're getting.
She is divisive, certainly. And, it's taken quite a few fans a long time to warm up to her, myself included. It took me ages to warm up to her, as proved by earlier on this podcast series.
I'm warmer to her than I was at her debut. I do agree she's gotten a lot better. Like, normally if she's in the main event of against someone good, she's going to have a really good match. As shown here, as shown in every other time, she's against someone really good, and her character's getting better. I see her as a sort of Kevin Nash type wrestler in that respect. But
what?
No, I know. I just feel a Kevin Nash vibe coming off her, like a yeah, so what if I'm here? Fuck you, kind of thing. NWO Kevin Nash, not like current day shoot interview Kevin Nash.
I can't quite believe that you've just drawn the comparison between Big Sexy and Julia. I'm ever so slightly confused.
I can't. It's the fact that it's big boots and big bombs. That's all. Like, Kevin Nash is just what's in my mind when I think of. I think it's also a case of proportion. They're very similarly
they're not.
Proportioned.
No, they're not. Kevin Nash is enormous.
I mean, like,
Julia's not even the biggest in her stable.
I know. If you made Kevin Nash like 5'6", I think it would be proportion like Julia.
You're so wrong. Oh, what is this bullshit you're spouting?
It's like the long legs and the leather.
What are you
It
talking
just gives me Kevin Nash vibes.
You crazy bastard.
If she had tassels, you would agree with me.
I wouldn't. She'd be more like Lex Luger if she had tassels.
I know, but she's not wearing short black trunks. Kevin Nash wore the long leather pants.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm going to ignore that because that's utter nonsense. I must admit, Julia sold the end of this match brilliantly, being rolled into the triangle arm breaker and literally tapping frantically straight away. It really sold how bad the move is.
I did like that. As you know, Rob, I've sort of went on a bit of a shoot style rabbit hole recently. And I love that in wrestling. It's sort of why I like the Benoit versus Angle, or at least I did like the Benoit versus Angle match. Because like as soon as one of them got into a armbar or an ankle lock, what have you, tap out, can't be having that because I don't want to injure myself.
Yeah.
I know. I think stuff like that A, puts over a submission really well, and B, makes something feel more legitimate because like you look at any sort of combat sport with submissions, as soon as an armbar's locked in, you're tapping.
Yeah, 100%. Konami again look like an absolute bruiser here. I look forward to the rest of her matches because I know that she has still got Himika left. She's got Starlight left, I believe. Did she beat Starlight on that one?
In red. I'm trying to see what she has last in red. She also has she has Tam left, doesn't she?
She does have Tam left.
She has she's beaten Tosaya. Oh, she has Def Yamasan left. Isn't that nice?
God. Okay, maybe not all of the matches. Anyway, let's move on. Main event of night 4 was Blue Stars action with Utami Hayashishita defeating Azumi at 12 minutes and 2 seconds with the German suplex. I've already said I would have loved this to go 3 minutes longer. Take those 3 minutes from the 20 minute time limit draw and put them on this match, and this was a 9-star match. It felt very abruptly finished. They'd done all this build up, but there was never quite that stretch to make it that classic, Chris.
Mm-hmm. I love the start of this match. Zumi going for a handshake and then going right into roll-ups. That's great. I love that. The kick at the start that made Utami literally retreat under the ring.
Yeah. I am hiding from this. This is bullshit.
Facing Monday like. But yeah, I think after that, it kind of just turned into what you'd expect. It turned into almost your standard big versus little person match. Azumi once again doing great jobs going into armbars. Utami doing a great job of a power game. This match was sort of a means to a booking end in a way when you look at the big picture of Red Stars. But yeah, it's just this is just really good, really fun. Oh wait, this isn't Red Stars.
Blue
This is Blue
Stars, I was just going to say.
Forgive me. But yeah, this is just great, and I loved it. Also, I loved it. I do agree with you. It didn't have that finishing stretch. It felt like it ended just as that finishing stretch had begun. If I'm going to compare it to something, it's like AJ versus Nakamura at Mania. It was like right as you're like, okay, here it comes, Bomb Fest. It's no longer a Bomb Fest, and I know these two can have great matches together because of that tag match when Stardom is together again. What was it called? Stardom is again. Yeah, and that was great, and like the highlight of it was the chemistry these two had for me. So I was really looking forward to this match, and it did disappoint a tiny bit. So I think I might have given it a harsher rating than you, hearing that you almost gave it a 9. Yeah. But I still really liked it. I gave it a 7.
I enjoyed the story of Azumi trying to end it quickly because, she knew that Utami had lost on the third night of the previous 5-star, so she might have a little bit of a sort of hoodoo about it, for lack of a better phrase. So, flash pins straight away, try and end it quickly. Once that ended, you'd got a story of Utami trying to grind down Azumi with just big bombs and, trying to wear her down by... I really enjoyed... Azumi came out of the block straight away, as she did in the previous night. But Utami, pinfall... Azumi kicked out, straight back into a pinfall, kicked out, straight back into a pinfall, almost trying to tire her out because, as you've already mentioned, you've made a good parallel between Azumi and Sonic the Hedgehog. So Utami is trying to grind her down, whereas Azumi, wonderful as she is as an exponent of the arm breaker, she was constantly trying to work the arm of Utami. And she spent a good deal of this match on top, which, again, I didn't quite expect.
Well, if we're going to keep going with the Sonic the Hedgehog comparisons, do you play Super Smash Bros. At all?
I do not, no.
Well, Sonic the Hedgehog has the same problem there, where he can rack up the damage very quickly, but he has no finishing moves.
Keeps going for the arm breaker.
He's a great limb psychologist, that Sonic.
Fuck you, Tails.
Mario, on the other hand, he just won't sell at all. But, yeah, like she can't really. She can't really. She doesn't have a big finishing move. Like she does kind of have the top rope knee, but again, not top rope stomps. But when someone who's like 2'1", like Azumi's doing that, and someone who's like 11'3", like Utami, it just won't connect. It's like if my knee started jumping on me, it's like, just get the fuck off me. And the Azumi Sushi isn't like a great finisher. It's a great flash pin, but like as a finisher, I do question it.
She needs something more impactful on top of that.
Yeah, like and she has a great Fujiwara, which is really good. And like if she just did that more, but the problem is you can't have people tapping every time you need to give Azumi a win. So Azumi does need a bomb finisher to, because I think if you look up and down the Stardom roster, I think most of them have some form of submission that could put you away. Like Himiko has the torture rack, but she also has the power bombs. Konami can kick you to death or do that. Mayu can go for either the sleeper or the suplex. So like everyone sort of has both. Azumi just needs to get that. I think the issue is with her height, and like it's not just her height, she also has like no muscle mass.
She is only 17.
Yeah, she is only. This isn't criticism, because like I've said, like for her age, she's a genius.
Oh god, I'm not taking it as a criticism of Azumi. I agree with you. I think she does need something like an impact finishing, because like you say, the double stomp, it's not quite that move, as it's not quite as impactful as it needs to be.
The way I see Azumi is like a Toa Hanare, like that second level young lion. Sort of like where Narita and Shogurumino are.
See, if we're making that comparison, I mean, you're looking at Hina, Rina, Hanan, they're your young lions. Your second level then are Saya and, the two Sayas. And I would argue that Azumi is a stage above them.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, like the Toa Hanare stage, where like she's not quite a young lion, but she's not quite an established star. She's in between. She's like a
Dawuki. I gave this 8. I know you gave it 7. I thought the match itself was great, but it was impacted massively by the lack of that closing stretch that would make it an absolute classic.
I think that's what kept it from being an 8. And I think because like this putting with someone who had a hot start but couldn't quite finish it thing. I watched the Moxley versus Darby Allin match from Dynamite from August, and that told the story better. I know it's not fair. You should look at wrestling matches in a vacuum, but like just having those within the same day sort of might have hindered this match a bit for me.
So, looking at the standings so far, Blue Stars, seeing as that was the match we've just been talking about, top of the pile is Utami Hayashishita with 6 points. We then go Shuri on 4, Maika on 4, Momo on 4, Jungle Kiona on 4, Natsuka Tora on 4, Azumi on 2, and Saya Ida on 0. Moving to Red Stars, Himika remains on top by 1 point with 7, followed by Tam Nakano on 6 and Konami on 6. Julia coming up in 4th on 4 points, followed by Starlight Kid and Mayu, tied on 2 points, but Mayu has had one less match. Saya Kamitani is then got 1 point, and Death Yama-san is bottom of the pile with 0 points, but she has had one less match than everybody else. So, Chris, before we get into the questions, do you care to shift your predictions any? Has what you've seen so far affected who you think is going to be in that final?
I think just in the way they're booking Konami, that Konami could definitely get into the final.
Yeah.
Konami's being booked as a killer. I think a lot of the booking in Red Stars over the last 2 days was to chip away at Himika's lead without hurting Himika.
Which I think they've done very well.
Because you look going in after day 3, no one was touching Himika, but now like Konami and Tam are at the precipice, and then you have Tora, Maika, all like knocking on the door, and May, who's yet to have her catch-up match. So it's all going wild there. It's yet to be seen. I still think Jungle could make it to the final. I think we're doing a redemption arc. See Naito and White from G1 last year. It's still up. We're not even halfway through yet. So anything could happen. Still, like everyone is technically still in the running unless we're on 0. If my head math is going well. So anything could happen. I'm not shifting my predictions, partly because I don't remember my predictions.
See the archives, you'll find our predictions. I think with all the focus they're putting on the Tokyo Cyber Squad breakup, which again hasn't been confirmed yet, and we might be wildly out of whack. But if they break up, a Jungle Kiona versus Konami final would be very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Because not only would it be a banging match in ring quality, I mean, you've got Konami, who we've both said is one of the most entertaining things about the 5-star currently, and Jungle, who can put on match of the year against a Broom. But you've got that story as well about the dissolution of Tokyo Cyber Squad, and you can also throw in the fact that Konami thinks it's Jungle's fault because Jungle is the one who made the match against Oedo Tai and forced that match through. You know, we might have that heel turn, so say it's Konami, you can have Jungle blaming Konami for the heel turn or vice versa. There is enough story there. We are only, less than halfway through. Jungle is not, miles away. It's going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting moving forward. I'm very excited. So, Let's move on to some questions. So, on our Discord, we've had some Chris. So, nothing to see here anymore. Asks, who's getting elevated with their performances? For me, Konami. Before, and I think we've actually said the phrase, she's not quite the main event. She's white belt level, and I know they're sort of on the same par, but I never felt like she was a legitimate contender for the red belt. These 2 nights have made me wildly reconsider that. If she is going to continue breaking arms and taking names, fuck yeah, I'd be up for that. Other than that, I think Starlight's been massively impressive. Azumi has been hugely impressive. Other than that, Chris, have you got any other names?
Just looking for Starlight has definitely been getting better throughout this tournament. Like, I'm much more convinced of Starlight's abilities. Same with Azumi, as stated. Julia's not been having a bad 5-star, but also like she's not been booked super strong.
No, she hasn't. It's quite surprising.
Yeah, well, you say that you can't have the champions be booked too strong because we do need challengers coming out of the 5-star.
I think I'd have been. I think if she wasn't a champion going into the 5-star, I think we'd have seen her booked a lot stronger.
Yeah, because literally like the last 3 months, even going into this year, Arisa spent the whole time just avenging 5-star losses. So, like, it's much like the G1 in a way. 5-star is a place where champions come to fall. Of course, we can't forget Natsuko Tora. I mean, banger
Don't
after
be
banger
a fucking
after banger.
dickhead.
She's a great chain wrestler.
Oh, you made the joke. Oh, you twat. I hate you so much. I mean, we shouldn't forget about Himika. I mean, Himika came into the promotion in June, I think. And
yeah, she came in at the as they
Stardom
came
is
back.
again. And she's been booked incredibly strong. She's proved that she can have different style of matches. She can have the dominant squash match. She can have a competitive match where she is dominant. And she's proved that she can have matches where she is a sympathetic babyface. She's really impressed me, Himika, I must admit. And to be honest, I don't really see her being an underling for too long. I find her more as a stable leader. And I don't know whether that's just because she's powerful, but I see her that way. I don't know why. But yeah, she's certainly one of the big stars for me coming out of this so far.
I think what we sort of need to remind ourselves that performance in round-robin tournaments don't always translate to direct opportunities. I mean, look at Ishii.
True. This sort of links in with our next question. So Niagara Driver. Hello, Niagara Driver, friend of the show. This is a very big picture, but who do you realistically see as the next red and white belt champions? And actually, someone's commented underneath, so Crazy Pete 315 has actually said white belt Konami, red belt Julia. So, Chris, first of all, do you agree with Crazy Pete 315? And secondly, if you don't, explain who you think the next 2 top champions are going to be in Stardom.
I think it's Stardom. You never actually. It's not like New Japan where they're, or even All Japan. Even Noah. It's not like the men's promotions in Japan where the top ranks are so closed off to like the lucky few, and then occasionally a Michael Elgin or an Evil will win one of the big belts. In Stardom, it's truly like, again, we had B. Priestley come out of nowhere to have a 6-month reign last year.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at the history of the red belt, that's not uncommon.
I mean, Toni Storm has held the belt.
Toni Storm's great.
She is great, but B. Priestley's very good in the ring. It's quite surprising when you have someone like that hold the belt.
Yeah, no, so it's not closed off. Like, honestly, Himika winning it wouldn't be a surprise. It's not what I would book, but like, it wouldn't be a massive surprise. Stardom, but like, you look at, say, a New Japan or a Noah or even an All Japan, you can see a pattern. There's like patterns of how they book. Of course, this year's thrown everything out of whack, but like on a normal year, you can see how they book. You can predict title changes. Like, to take New Japan for an example, the red belt will never change place at King of Pro Wrestling unless one of the top 4 isn't holding it. Like, the only time it's ever changed is when AJ had to drop it to Tanahashi to make a more realistic main event for Wrestle Kingdom. Same with the IC belt, that never changes its hands at Power Struggle, and if it ever does, it's because it's on clearly the wrong person. And again, with Stardom, random, completely at fucking random, seemingly. So it's hard to predict. Tam, I think, holding the white belt makes sense. I still think her chasing Julia for the white belt makes the most sense to me. I guess it depends how the Tam Julia match goes, but yeah, that makes the most sense in my mind. And until something better comes along, and I think for red belt, Julia does seem like a shout, but also I think she needs a decent white belt reign. So I think Mayu will lose it before then. Maybe Momo. If I was booking it, I'd have Momo win it, so Jungle can overcome Momo. But that's my own booking.
You mean that's my booking?
I don't know. It's stolen from yours. But I'm sorry. Sometimes you have a better.
It's word for word stolen
sometimes
from mine.
Sometimes you have better ideas. It's mostly mine, but
it's not. It's all mine, in fact. Literally, my entire story arc is what you've nicked there and tried to pass as your own. Yes, I am calling you out for it, you bastard.
This is all me. No, yeah. But again, you can. I think it's one of those things that's impossible to predict. Because when Kagetsu was having her long ass reign last year, do you think? And I came in just as B Priestley won it. I don't think anyone watching Stardom at the time would have guessed B Priestley being the one to dethrone Kagetsu.
No, certainly. And I think stuff like that does make it considerably more interesting. I mean, it does impact New Japan somewhat when Ishii has an IWGP Heavyweight Championship reign, because he's not going to win it. Unfortunately, it seems to be that way for Sonada as well. Though I suppose Evil winning it has sort of opened that up as well. Though it does seem, I still see it as panic booking. Well, that's by the by.
It is definitely panic, but I won't get into it here. But their upper echelon, especially now that Jay White is back, is so defined.
They've always had their 4 pillars. The 4 pillars have changed, but if you're not one of those 4 pillars, then you don't really get the opportunity, especially at the top belt. The IC belt's a different thing.
Oh no, the IC. But if you look at the IC belt, the only outlier at all is Elgin, and that's because Tanahashi was injured.
Evil. I'm gonna keep bringing that up now.
Yeah, but that doesn't. It's when you bring up one statistical anomaly, and there's so many factors that go into it. It's like when NXT beat AEW and AEW were having a clip show.
Okay, but my question to you is Evil one of the top 4? No. Has Evil held both belts? I rest my case.
Yes, but
I'm just being a dick now, I apologise.
I've noticed.
I'm with you on the white belt. I think it makes the most sense for the next white belt holder to be Tam. Whether she takes it at Yokohama or whether we wait, we give Julia a lengthy reign and then have Tam take it, I don't know. Or have Tam take it off someone else. It seems only right that she takes it off Julia, but it would make sense for that. The red belt is a very interesting question because, it does depend on who you have winning. The 5-star Momo would be perfect, but as you've already said, that's stealing it off me. I am going to choose someone else. I don't think Julia will be red belt champion yet. I think she will be red belt champion, and I think she should be. But I don't think it's yet. I would have Konami. I think Konami having a reign, especially after whatever happens with Tokyo Cyber Squad, I think that could be interesting in the similar vein to B Priestley. She's proved in ring that she can be great. Have different types of matches, have the bomb where she kicks the shit out of you or tries to break your arm. So I think that could certainly be very interesting. Again, that depends on what happens on September the 28th. But then again, you've got, you can have Jungle then take it off Konami as well. So you've got 2 different stories there. And actually, Niagara Driver asked another question underneath that. She said, they've said, building on that, how do you see Konami going forward after the 5-star Grand Prix? Well, I've said I think she will eventually win the red belt, and I think sooner rather than later. Especially if Tokyo Cyber Squad break up, because I see her, especially now, as an upper main, upper mid-carder into that main event scene. I think when I started watching Stardom, she was very good in ring. She'd have good matches, but I didn't really care about her as a wrestler. I liked the matches, but that was it. Whereas Jungle, I was invested in Jungle. Now, I actively want to go and see Konami matches. I actively want to go and see what damage she's going to inflict on other people. So I see her winning the red belt. Whether she wins the 5-star and wins it that way, I don't know. But I do see her holding the belt in the near future. Chris, what about you? Where do you see her?
I think this is something we can't answer until after that tag match.
So in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, like this is something we could probably answer on like the next one or the one after that. But like until after that tag match, we can't know the direction of Konami because we don't know if TCS will still be a thing. We don't know if it isn't a thing, who defected, who isn't, who's the heel, etc. I do agree that she's probably going to go from strength to strength. She's been probably the best fit. My favorite thing about Stardom since Stardom came back. Her like transition into this Shibata-esque badass. Like she's nothing. Like she's not like Shibata, but in terms of like an aura, a presence, that's the first thing that pops to mind. Yeah, we can't know. I do agree that she's definitely going to be a champ within at least the next 18 months, if not the next year. I just don't. We just can't make anything definitive. At least I can't say anything definitive until we see that tag match. That's probably a bit of a shit answer, but like I can't.
Oh, it is.
Like,
You're a massive spoil sport.
What her
You're a
character's going
massive
forward.
spoil sport. The whole point is to fantasy book, and what you've done is you've shat on it. You've shat on it, Chris. Fuck's sake.
Right, fine. She's gonna kick Julia's head off like it's fucking Mortal Kombat.
Anyway, thank you so much for the questions, guys. We do appreciate it. I think we need to wrap it up there. We've been going just over an hour and 40 minutes, so let's wrap it up there. Hopefully, by next weekend, we will have another episode for you in regard to the shows that took place in Fukuoka on the 12th of September and the show that happened on the 13th. We will let you know via Twitter. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Go subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. It really does help the podcast out. You can check all the podcast archives out on the website, www.podmania.co.uk. You can also check out what two knobheads arbitrarily rate things. If you want to check out those match rating archives for Stardom, they are also on the website. You can find us on Twitter at the StardomCast. Join the Facebook group at Podmania Podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube at The Real Podmania. You can talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Chris, where can they find you?
K_O_N_A_A_M_I_. I guess. Well, of course, Konami's already taken. It's a video game company. Oh.
Anyway, guys, we will see you again soon. Thank you so much for listening.